What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the WASD and Beyond HOTFIX. As always, I'm your host, Nick. With me is Evan. Nothing's changed. Been a minute since we've done a hotfix. I mean, I wouldn't say nothing's changed. Um,
See if you can spot it.
Evan, can you tilt your head to the side?
Which side, left or right?
Don't matter. No, man. Like, look other ways.
You said tilt. This is
Well,
tilting. This is
okay. Well, I
turning.
meant look. I meant look. You're not. uh, Let us know in the comments what you spot. Um,
I don't think you'll. I don't think they'll know. I look pretty normal.
you look like Evan. That's for sure. You're digging it. You're really full of yourself today. You're really digging that.
I feel so cool.
It looks like you got like a mandrake on the top of your head.
I did.
Like
That's exactly what this is.
you're so thrilled. I can tell.
I'm so happy.
Get another big swig of that beer, buddy.
I don't have any beer. I'm not drinking.
Oh, you were. Yes, you are.
I think I'm hallucinating. No, I'm not.
Oh my
I
god,
literally don't have one.
you did. You're a piece of shit. Anyways, so past couple weeks there hasn't been that much news for us to be even doing a hot fix, so we've been kind of taking it slow with it. This week, the big episode with David Craddock, author of Long
Yes.
Live Mortal Kombat and the director of FPS documentary, is coming out on Friday, video and audio. So get stoked for that. It's been a long time in the making for this interview to come out. We're incredibly proud of this. We're incredibly excited for you guys to hear it. David was nothing less than amazing to talk to. Awesome guy. Support all the things that he's working on and doing, especially Long Live Mortal Kombat and FPS documentary, which majority of that interview was Brody and myself talking to him about that movie. So that
Yep.
comes out this Friday. Until then, you got this hotfix, which Evan and myself are going to be talking about Halo episode 4 and 5.
Yes.
So
The
let's go into what happened in episode 4,
sure.
and then we will tell you guys how we felt about it. And
Sure.
then we'll go into 5, because 5 is where things start to
Really picked up.
significantly ramp up. It's what the show's been needing, and it's what the show's been drastically missing, I would say. So
I would say.
let's start with episode 4, though, Evan. What happens in
Sure.
episode 4?
So in episode 4, Kai125 originally had seen in episode 3, Don Master Chief taking out his emotional suppressor pellet out of the small of his back. So she does that, um, and clearly you can kind of tell she handles it a bit differently, which I think is another testament as to why Chief is Chief,
Right.
because he kind of takes out, but he can still do his job pretty well. She can do her job well too, but she's very she's different, clearly because of it. Um, she also helps Miranda Keys analyze the magical artifact, and kind of they discover together that they've been trying to translate the elite's language, the Sangheili language, by themselves, even though they haven't been using the Spartans, who have arguably the most time. What? Why are you laughing?
Because exactly what you were just saying. Like, the Spartans are like, oh, yeah,
Oh,
we know this
yeah.
language pretty decently.
We've not spelt. We've spent more time with it than anybody else has. I mean, realistically, because they obviously probably listen to them when they're trying to ambush, all that kind of stuff. So, and all that stuff's obviously documented through their helmets and whatnot, video and audio. So, they do that. They look at the footage from the mission on Madrigal, as well as the UNSC Corvette. That's, I think, that happens in episode 3. That the Mackie takes over,
Yeah.
or McKay. I don't know how you say her name. Um, they discover that the artifact that Chief and the other Spartans found relates to a sacred ring that the Covenant call Halo. So, whoa, big crazy stuff there.
Halo and
Um,
Halo? I don't think so.
no, man, it's nothing. Got nothing to do. It's a different franchise. On Madrigal, Soren and Quan go and find her, Quan's father's former like allies, but due to like what happened since episode 1, they both fear the Covenant, and so because of that, they trust Venture Grath, who you see in the first episode, because he's backed by the UNSC now. Like they're
Yeah.
they're together. Um, so they don't help her. Soren's ship is discovered and confiscated, and basically just torn apart for parts. just salvaged. Quan finds her aunt, who asks for help, but an agent of Grath's like crew, or like special forces type person, kills her aunt, almost kills Quan, I think,
Yeah,
until
that's what. Yeah,
Soren saves her. Um, Soren kills a whole bunch of her men, but does not kill her. They escape and head for a spaceport that's like 230 miles in the opposite direction or something like that. Um, and then it kind of cuts to Aridness 2 with Chief, Halsey, Cortana, and that weird guy that's like Halsey's
he gets
lackey.
even
He just gets in
stranger
the way.
in episode 5, and I'm like,
Yeah,
dude,
he's
just
weird.
someone kill him. He's a
Yeah,
danger to himself and others. Just fucking kill this guy.
right. So they go to his old home, John's old home. They find drawings that he had as a kid of different Forerunner artifacts. Cortana uses like almost some sort of holographic thing that she can do where she creates his home as he knew it as a kid.
Yeah,
Kind of though, because he does point out irregularities or wrong placement for things. Like he says that there was a table somewhere else, so he clearly remembers.
yeah.
Once he sees these things, he remembers where things were. He wasn't like he's not completely wiped of his memories, and I think that's what's scaring Halsey. Um, which it clearly comes to a head at the end of the episode. Um, John obviously knows exactly where the location of the second artifact is that he found when he was a kid, but then he also notices another memory from his childhood of Halsey visiting him while his parents were still alive, which up to this point he had figured that she found him when they had died. But she found them or she found him while her parents or his parents were still, kicking it, playing a game with him of like tossing a coin and testing his luck if it'll be heads or tails. And he's right, naturally.
Which is a nice
Um,
homage to the Fall of Reach book, because in that book, John is flipping a coin, and I forget, it might be Halsey, I'm not sure. I haven't read the book since I was like in 6th grade, but yeah, he's like flipping a coin, and he's guessing constant, and he's just
he's
able to
getting it right every
show,
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
like something special about John. That's a
Um,
nice nod.
and then and then it ends with John taking Halsey and obviously her lackey and Cortana to the location of the second Forerunner artifact, which is kind of like a big pillar in the ground. Um, so yeah, that's kind of all of episode 5. Obviously, little bits and pieces here and there.
4.
I think in episode 4, Kai 125, after she removes her pellet, puts gun grease in her hair to kind of paint it red. It looks terrible, by the way, and everybody points that out, and she knows that too.
Yeah.
She knows that. I think she mentions that in 5, where she goes, "You think that I thought that looked good?" Um, so kind of just doing it. She's very clearly not used to being able to have emotions and stuff like that. Whereas when John took his out, very much this cautious optimism,
Right.
like just cautious understanding. Like when he goes and he sees the dog and he listens to the music and he sees the couple on the train, like all this stuff. He very much just observes, does not want to get involved. Whereas Kai does not have that kind of self control. She's very much about like, I want to be a part of the group, or I want to do this, I want to do that. Let me help. Let me do this. And it's like when she's told orders, if she thinks that she has a better idea of things, she's very much restraining against it. She does not want to listen, which we see more of in 5. So
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked that it was just more world building and just kind of getting further. But I didn't feel slow, but I felt like it was moving somewhere good. Um, that's kind of how I was.
Yeah, so I'm right there with you. I didn't hate it, right? And a lot of the show so far I have disliked, and I've been very vocal about my dislike for this.
He hates this shit, dude.
Well, my problem is,
Calls me in the morning on Friday like, "Did you see that stupid bullshit?"
no, I didn't.
I'm like,
But my
like
problem is
what, man?
this: it's got 8 episodes, Eh,
9.
9, and the majority of the episodes thus far has been world building, which is it's cool, but it leaves for a very slow halo, right? This episode does a lot of cool things, especially with Kai.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that she removed her pellet. So that was cool.
Yeah,
I like her really starting to identify herself. The gun grease was a cool little symbol of her, like, I am now myself. I
I
like
am
that a
who.
lot.
Yeah, I am Kai. Right. Yeah, kind
So
of understanding who she is. Yeah.
I like that a lot. I don't think we needed more nudity in like it's just
This guy said that.
well, it's just weird, right? Like
I mean, it's a Paramount show. I mean, they can do that, right? They're not
well, and
held to any
like the
sort of.
last 3 episodes, there's been just There's just butts.
A lot of butt. Yeah, I
And,
mean,
like, Venture's butt, like, the dude, the scrawny little weird guy who's, like, almost like, um, oh my g Baron Harkonnen from, like, Dune, but just, like, a skinny Harkonnen. He's just, like, in his little fucking water pit. He
he's in
stands
his
up
little hot
his
tub.
he's
Yeah,
his little skinny guy butt, and I'm like, "Why, dude? Like, we didn't
he's
need this."
a yeah. That's Bern Gorman. He's a an actor who has been in Dark Knight Rises, was
A
in
lot
Game
of
of
things,
Thrones,
right?
Pacific Rim. He's in The
Yeah.
Man in the High Castle. Yeah, he's a very good villain. Also, very I don't know the right word to say this. He's noticeable. You don't forget that face.
No, because it's like,
Like
that's a bad guy.
I've only seen him in Dark Knight Rises. Really, I mean, I watched Game of Thrones, but I knew who. Like, I recognize that he's in there now. But could show me any TV show with that guy, and I'd be like, yeah, I know who that is.
Right, right.
Like, I've seen.
So
Like, he's just got a very recognizable face. Also, he's a nephew of a man named Bartley Gorman, who's considered king of the gypsies. Has nothing to do with the episode, but I thought
great,
that was interesting.
great gypsies in this episode. Um, it was fine, right? Like,
They're cool.
eh,
King gypsies are cool.
uh, they are what they are.
Oh,
I would say the
okay.
episode was
Well,
fine. It did what it needed to do, I think, right?
got that. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
like the gypsy community is gonna come after us. They came after Tom Segura,
Yeah.
Tommy
Which means
Segways.
yeah, if they come after him, they'll come after us.
Yes, they're petty like that though,
Ye-
dude.
yeah, no, I mean, I agree though. Like, I am personally a big fan of world building. I'm a big fan of shows that I fucking watch The Wire, dude. I'm cool with the show being as slow as it's got to be to get to a
Right.
point. Like,
Even
I'm not
Sopranos is slow in
usually
my
sitting
opinion.
there, huh?
Sopranos is slow in my opinion.
Oh, it's completely so. Well, I would say I would disagree on that in one aspect, which is that there are just episodes of The Sopranos that don't need to be there. Like,
Pine Barrens.
you, no,
That
that
episode,
that has nothing to do with anything, but I prefer it remains.
such a good. We're gonna do an episode just on the Pine Barrens.
Yeah, but like there are certain episodes of the show that don't really have to exist,
Right.
or certain maybe not even certain parts, but just scenes. Whereas I feel something like The Wire definitely needs every little bit that it gives,
Yeah,
and for
absolutely.
this, I would say that it's slow in the way that like it wants to really tell you a story, and I think that that has a problem, or I think people have a problem with it rather, because they know what Halo is and they expect more action, they expect more
I
shit
agree.
going on.
I agree with you.
And it's like, I understand that, but I'm also of the opinion that if I were to sit here and watch, if we had been like right now we're on episode 5, about to be on 6 this week, if it had just been like the past 5 episodes has just been Chief going to a different planet and just being told, here's your mission, and kicking ass and then figuring stuff out at the end
That
of the
would get
episode,
boring too.
would also be of that opinion where I'd say it's worse. I'd be like, dude, I mean, like, it's just the same shit. Like, if I wanted to do this, I'd just go play Infinite, right? Like, I would just
Right.
go do it myself. But like, I like that it's world building, but it's not, it all leads somewhere, right? And I think they're doing a very good job of that, because it's like they don't know what the rings are, whereas at like the beginning of the first Halo game, you land on one.
Yeah.
So like for this, it's like both of them, the Covenant know what it means in terms of a religious aspect, and they know what it can do, but
Yeah.
they've not found it yet. Whereas humans, judging by that episode and this new one, they're just starting to understand that something like this exists, and they still don't know what it is. Even they don't know that it's a weapon. So like, I'm hoping personally, I hope that they find um like the ring within like hopefully this episode, but that's going to be harder to do. We'll talk about that why, because we'll talk why like for that because of 5, but like I'm hoping they find it between the end of 6 and like towards the end of 7. That
Right.
way we kind of have 8 and 9, which kind of wraps it up nicely. I would really hate, although I think it's already been given another series, they've already been given a second season. um but I would really hate if they did that, where like number 9 is them finding the ring and then it ends. And then
That
like they cancel the show.
that
I'd
would
be
be
really bummed out, because it's like
dumb.
you have so much more you can do. So that's kind of it. But I liked 4. I thought it was good. I liked the world building still. Yeah, definitely not a lot of action. I mean, there was a little bit between Soren and Quan. Um, but like, don't really care about that other than Soren, really. I still don't have a
Yeah.
lot of feelings for Quan. Nothing to do with who plays her. It's just I really don't see what her point is
She feels like a
still.
very misplaced character, and I'm sure at the end of the season it's gonna be like, by the way, Quan is super special. And I'm gonna go, I don't care because I haven't cared since we met her.
Well, we haven't seen that she's special other than, I mean, as far as like including five, I mean, I'm not gonna say exactly what it is yet, but like
By the way, spoiler
she,
alert, we're spoiling the episodes. So
I mean, yeah, you figured that. Just put that
yeah,
in the title of the episode.
yeah.
But like, if she is special, they have not given us any allusion to that whatsoever.
Or why
Like
we
at
should
this
care.
point, yeah, at this point, we're kind of just following her because we are like
Yeah,
not really like nothing she's done affects Chief directly or the UNSC directly, not yet anyway. And personally, everything that she's been doing up to this point has been pretty much like she doesn't have an army and she's very misguided, I'd say. Like she's got this fire in her of like, just give me 50 people, I can do it. And it's like you just fucking can't. Like
it's not how that
you
works,
can
right?
and yeah, you can and you can't, right? There comes a point where you're gonna lose. So I'm curious to see how that goes and what really happens with that. But I really, it feels like whatever they're gonna do to kind of bring that closer to Chief and like that storyline really feels like it's gonna be shoehorned in. I
That's
really don't
yeah, I'm right
see,
there
as of
with you.
right now, a natural way where it's gonna coincide. I just don't. But yeah, that's episode 4. I liked it.
It
Nick
was cool.
did and
It's
didn't.
fine.
Yeah, had his own little personal things with it. Let's get on to 5 because 5 we both really liked.
Yes, I thought 5 has been the best episode of the series thus far. Obviously, with what happens in 5, the lead up to it. So what happens in episode 5, Evan?
So this is rating from Wikipedia. This is exactly like just what is described as. It's very not basic, but tells the premise quite well. So on Madrigal, Soren handcuffs Quan to their bike while he goes to find a way off the planet, but Quan frees herself and knocks Soren unconscious, and then takes his gun and his car, which is hilarious. Also, like really, Quan knocking out Soren.
That was so. I know you're supposed to suspend
Speak
your beliefs, but
Speaking of that, really love the scar he's got that goes down his whole arm that's like completely open. Really weird and like gross looking, but looks pretty bad. Like
the
this guy's seen
practical
some shit.
effect was sweet. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I don't. He hasn't described what that is. Something tells me that it feels like it's an energy sword or something.
Yeah,
Like
could
I
be
wouldn't know what it would. I couldn't. I can't imagine it to be a knife. It looks way too big.
right.
Um. Also, it's actually like still open. So like if energy shields are like lightsabers,
Wouldn't that
cauterizes them.
cauterize? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say if that's what it is, that would totally make sense. But I
Pretty
feel
sweet.
like that it'd have to be the blade though, like edge, because I can imagine it would probably just go through it. But anyway, um, yeah, she tracks him down, knocks him out, takes his gun in his vehicle. Then it cuts to Aridness 2. The UNSC has a full platoon or battalion there now. They're trying to secure that artifact and take it back to Reach, but they can't break it out. While they're testing it, it doesn't nothing specifically leads into this, but the weird creepy guy that's like Halsey's lackey is like right next to it, and all of a sudden it releases this really loud boom that basically deafens everybody except for Chief and I think the other Spartans.
If that guy could have
Um,
been jerking off on the fucking artifact, he would have been.
I feel like he would have been too.
Yeah.
Um, but because of that boom, it alerts Mackie and the Covenant who've been searching for it on Madrigal. So now they know where it's at. John continues to question what his past has been, what his life really is, and because of how much he wants to know, he goes and touches the artifact and has memories of Halsey and Oni troops kidnapping him, replacing him with a flash clone of himself. Also, like very nearly dies
Yeah.
because of just touching it, and because of how mad he is, he tries to attack Halsey, but which I thought was really stupid the way he attacked her. I'm
I,
not gonna
I
lie,
thought it was
like the
goofy.
jump punching thing was like really. Um, but since Cortana's inside him, basically, she's able to just shut down his
Yeah.
body with a neural bridge, which is cool, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like, don't really like that.
No.
Um, John wakes up, contemplates, what he now knows. And as he's doing that, a Corvette from the Covenant arrives and launches an attack on the mission, using both Banshees as well as elites, grunts, jackals, everything that we've kind of been waiting,
Brutes.
except for wraiths. Only one brute shows up, and that
Yeah.
motherfucker is huge.
If that's the tone they're gonna set for the Covenant,
Huge.
I'm cool with it.
Um,
Big boy, dude.
he's massive.
The grunts are
And
fucking chonky too.
They are, and the jackals look pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, but like they're doing good for the sense of scale because Chief is around 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
And elites are bigger than him by I'd say at least a couple feet. So they're around 9 or 10 feet. And not to say if that's like the brute, then is at least like twice the size of Chief in terms of height.
He's big.
Yeah, he was massive. Um, which will be interesting because in the games, I mean, they're basically everything looks the same height to us in the game.
Yeah.
Nobody really looks taller unless they're actually supposed to be, or like they are. It's supposed to show that boss battle sense of scale.
Yeah.
So this will be interesting because in the games you often fight brutes and elites and grunts and jackals all pretty much together all at the same time.
Yeah.
So this looks like it'll be different in that because of the sense of scale. Chief will very rarely see brutes. I hope like I hope he's not. Although it'll be cool for action sequence if he's taking down elites, grunts, jackals, and brutes.
Yeah.
To show his badassery and his sense of skill and what he can really do. But anyways, going back to the episode, despite the efforts of both UNSC and the Silver Team, a lot of UNSC Marines die. Kai almost gets killed. The Covenant take the artifact and leave, and as it escapes the planet, a drop pod drops down and he finds Mackie. Which at this point, I would honestly say if they just dropped a human off, I would probably just shoot her.
I would have blown her head off.
Like I don't think there's any point where I can't imagine when it's like that's a really weird thing to like leave. It is. It makes no sense.
It made no
Eh,
sense. I was like, okay, so now the Covenant's gonna go for like an infiltration type of thing, but like
but like that's so suspicious.
it
You
looks
know.
yeah. That was the part of the episode I went okay because
But
they
that's
cut
it.
off on the fucking Quan thing pretty fast. I would say.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool. She has her gun up to him. That's over with. All right, cool. Let's go back to the fight. The fight itself is really good.
Yeah.
It's really
Yes.
interesting to watch Kai lose her nerve the way she does by seeing all this
She got like
viscera,
real PTSD.
watching
Yeah.
people
Like
die, just like shocked her, and then she was just getting her ass beat. Um, watching Chief just go fuck it and beat Chief and save her was awesome. That
I
jackal, that jackal just crawling with like that. This jackal is literally cut in half. Its intestines are hanging
yeah.
out, and it's just crawling across your screen. And I was like, that is cool. More of
Or like
this.
I think Chief had a couple quips when he was killing grunts. I thought that was pretty funny.
Thanks to the ride or
Um,
whatever. Like
yeah, thanks for the ride. Yeah, he said that. I like when he jumped onto the Banshee and shot through the top with his Magnum and then
the
took control. And then not only that, but then slammed into the Phantom with it. That was really cool.
the whole hijacking of the Banshee thing. It was really cool to watch because like when you watch it, it made me feel like like how the game makes you feel doing it. Like
Yeah,
kind of like the animation of Chief like trying to rip the fucking top part open,
and it's
shooting through
third
the
person
top.
too, right? Like, yeah, it's not a first. Like, it would have kind of ruined it if it went to a first person view of him trying to do it. It's like because that's never you've experienced it in the game.
Right.
So it was pretty cool. Yeah, to watch him do everything. I did particularly like that he slammed it right into the Phantom and it blew up and
That was
kind of
sweet.
turned the tide just like that. Really shows that this is Chief and this is why he is Chief. Like this because he would do shit like this.
Yes.
Like the other guys would probably just, in no disrespect to them, but they'd probably use it just to try and turn the fight by using its weapons. Whereas Chief is like, fuck that. I'm just going to slam it into the Phantom and just take out the whole thing.
Exactly.
And he's the only one who's, I think, would have the idea to do that. And then
Yeah.
also the know how of how to live through that. Because realistically, you see him ride that shit right into it. So I wouldn't have expected him to live. I mean, obviously, it's Chief. I know he's going to live. But like, you wouldn't particularly think that, I guess, if it was anybody else.
Yeah.
Um, the only thing, or not thing I didn't like, but thing that really shows again how kind of why he needs that emotional suppressor is because of how angry he gets when he
That
sees
was
Kai almost dying.
sweet.
It was cool as hell, and I think that also shows why he needs that because he took way too much time hurting.
Smashing
Yeah,
this elite's
like
face in.
just causing pain to it, which is like I'm not trying to say like I support the Covenant. I would rather just kill them humanely. No, I mean like fucking do what you got to do. But like if he had that suppressor on, I think he would have, or in him, he would have
Shot it and
just
kept
killed it
going.
and moved. Yeah, because he knows the mission. But I will not lie, pretty freaking badass.
Dude, like its
Like
mandible was like hanging off, wasn't it?
yeah, curb stomps it at
The
the
curb
end
stomp.
just to
Can we talk about
yeah,
that?
that's pretty cool.
That final just like he
Crunch.
he he knows the fight is over with, this thing is done. And he just split second just curb stomps, and you see it.
Yeah, you get to watch it, the whole thing.
Like you like
It's pretty.
and the only reason they were able to get away with it is because it's CGI and aliens. That's why they were
Yeah.
able to do that.
Oh yeah, they couldn't have been able to do it any other way.
No. No, it was cool. That was I really dug that. That was a really nice, like, cool. This is the tone now. But if that's the
Yeah,
tone now, then
you
that's
got
the
to keep it.
precedent you've set. Just like,
Yeah,
okay, you're watching like a Liverpool match,
yeah,
ref ain't calling shoves. That's the
yeah,
tone you're setting.
yeah. And then you
Like,
start to change it up, you're gonna feel even
yeah, I'm gonna
differently
be like,
about
dude,
it.
what the fuck's happening here? But this is
Right.
really starting to ramp up. I can really see a lot more action on its way, which is what I'm hoping for with some big climactic ending soon. It's really looking good. I think I'm unsure because one part of me is trying to speak for myself,
Right.
and another part of me is trying to go. You have been a fan of this series since you were a kid. Speak up with the rest of the fucking people in the background, going, "I'm never gonna like it," which it's conflicting to me, right? Because I don't want to be like that, and I find myself getting trapped in the sphere of I'm disliking the show simply because it's not what I want it to be, and I'm trying to pull but at least I'm honest, right? Like, a lot of people aren't being honest about that. Like,
No,
I'm
I don't
trying to
think they are.
pull myself out of that and go, "No, give this a shot." I can see that though the people involved may not know the source material because 'cause they've
Yep.
admitted it,
Yeah.
it seems like there is some love in here.
Well, I think there is. I got a little bit. I got a little bit. I can talk about that
Yeah.
again. This is from Wikipedia. So on yeah, this is a couple like 4 years ago, June 28th, 2018. Showtime's given a 10-episode series order. Kyle Killen
Showtime?
is set. Yeah, Showtime. It was originally gonna be on Showtime.
Oh, what the fuck?
Uh, Kyle Killen was set to be showrunner, writer, and executive producer, while Rupert Wyatt was attached as a director and executive producer. On August 12th, it was announced that Master Chief would be the main lead of the series, and the series would tell a new story from the video games while respecting their canon at the same time. On December 3rd, Wyatt stepped down as director and EP due to scheduling conflicts. He was replaced by Otto Bathurst in February 2019 when it was reported that Bathurst would be directing the pilot along with several other episodes. And then it was revealed that the episode count had decreased from 10 to 9. In 2019, Stephen Kane, March of 2019 specifically, Stephen Kane was added as co-showrunner alongside Killen. And then on February 24th, 2021, the series was moved from Showtime to Paramount Plus. Showtime president Gary Levine said that the show was an outlier for the company brand and as a big, broad tentpole show, which is true because Showtime does things like Billions and stuff like that, which is very much not a big, broad show.
Yeah.
Um, it was a better fit on Paramount service. On June 25th, 2021, it was reported that both Kane and Killen would be exiting as showrunners following the completion of season one. Killen had left prior to the start of production due to him feeling like he wasn't able to fulfill the duties of showrunner, with Kane taking the reins as lead showrunner until post production work had been completed. However, should the show get picked up for a second season, Kane would not return. In January 2022, it was revealed by executive producer Justin Falvey that the show has potential to last multiple seasons and that David Weiner was being eyed as showrunner for a potential season two, with Kane staying on board as a consultant. On February 15th, ahead of its premiere, Paramount Plus renewed the series for a second season with Weiner set as showrunner and executive producer. I'll look him up real quick.
Okay.
Uh,
So there's a lot that could happen positively from a sec. I think this is going to be a story of growing pains.
I think, yeah. Yep, I could see that.
So
This is actually not anything I'm getting two different people here. There's a
that's
lot of David
that
Weiners.
that that's what I'm seeing here. I think this is going to be a growing pains type thing where we pop into season 2 and it's going to be this completely I can see a lot of overhaul happening. Not to detour or take away from the prior season, but I'm talking look, scale, CGI, practical effects. Like I'm talking like a big boost in production here. I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's one of those things where it's gonna be it's tough because you got to get this right for the fans, sure. But I think that in terms of fan, you just have to get the lore right. I really couldn't care less about like what story you tell as long as it fits into the narrative of like the series. Like
What Halo
if
is,
you're
yeah.
yeah, if you well if you I mean if you take it as like say you develop a different series and it's set way into the future, or not way into the future, but like enough where Chief is still Chief and whatnot. It's like what we know, and it's like they know about the Halo rings, but they don't really care about them. It's like that's not like the point. Like that's missing the mark, right?
Right, right,
But if
yeah.
but if you make it like this is in lore, like where everything is as it should be, like the same people who are bad people, like if for instance you turn the arbiter into something that Chief has to kill, that's obviously not what happens. So that would be kind of the point where it's like for fans, that's where I'd say drop off. But for fans as well, it's like, well, if the show is more talky than shooty, that's not really, I'd say, doing a disservice to fans. I think that's just a TV show is different than a game.
I think they're trying to bring
Um,
people in too who may not know what Halo is.
and that's the harder challenge, is
I think
that
that's
we
what they're
know this
trying to
shit,
do. Yeah,
and most people don't know this shit. Like my dad knows nothing about the story other than that Chief is a big cool badass with an AI who's naked. He's never
yes.
played, like, yeah. I mean, am I wrong? Like, no. Come on, people.
You said no.
Um, so like you got to get people like that into it, and if you were to just again have it be mostly action, most people like my dad probably wouldn't care because he'd be like, well, I'll just play the game, or I'll watch somebody else play it on Twitch or YouTube or whatever.
Right.
Um, so that's part of it. You got to get people into it. You got to get people that are invested in the story, and I think the way to do that is to show that Chief was taken from his parents, and they know he's special, but that's the question. Because he's special and because he could be humanity's greatest weapon, does that mean that you have the right to take that child and turn him into that weapon? And then not only that, but then violate his rights again by injecting him with a super intelligent AI that has never been used before.
Exactly.
Like, those are the questions I think that they're trying to bring in, which honestly are not part of Halo. Like, you typically don't ask those things when you're playing the game, but I think they're good questions to have in your head while you're watching it and go like, okay, no, it's not right for things to happen. But Chief is Chief and understands that nothing can be done about these things anymore. But he understands that he's got this place in the world now and he has to do what he's been trained to do, what he
Exactly.
was always what he was always born to do. That's the thing. He was always born to do this, but it's the method in which he ends up doing it is the question.
Right.
Is that okay? Is that morally ethical? No, it's not realistically. But it helps humanity, and he understands that it helps humanity, and then he becomes, I'd say, not okay with it, but he accepts it and goes, nothing I can do about it now, but I can do what I can do. Like I
Exactly.
can
Yeah.
I can stop the covenant. So like that's kind of it. But yeah, I'm really liking it. I loved episode 5. I liked 4. I've liked the whole series so far. I think that some of it's a bit slower. I think that some of it doesn't make a lot of sense, especially with the Quan and Soren story. A lot of butt. Don't
Mackie,
know
I don't
why.
like either.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. A lot of butt in this show. I don't know why. We got Chief butt, we got Kai butt, we got Mackie butt.
It's a bit
Um
odd. I'm back on
I like
board.
yeah, like there's a lot of butt. Yeah, I like it. I think it's all good. Like, I think they've done a great job. There are certainly some questionable things, like again, like the quantum thing, but then also like dropping Mackie off at the end after you just completely wiped out a whole bunch of UNSC doesn't really make a lot of sense because a lot of people are on edge, so she's going to be taken prisoner. They're not going to be like, "Oh no, you need help." And I
I
mean,
would have
if
just
they
killed her.
do,
Like I
yeah, I
said.
mean, if they do that for episode 6, and she's like given a cup of coffee and they're like, yeah, no, we'll get you to safety, we'll get you to your family or whatever, right? Like she's got to one stick into this whole thing of being a part of the UNSC, or she's got info and she's got to get close enough to the artifact, which again doesn't make sense. I think she's now solely there to get the other artifact and
Yeah.
to kill Chief. Those are her only two goals because they got the second one. So her only goal now is to get that first one and then do that. And
Set
that
off
could
the
go either way.
so
Yeah, I could go either way. I would be kind of upset though if the end of the series or the end of this season ended with like some big battle between her and Chief, because at this point Chief is like,
she's a bullet away from death, dude.
well, I don't know about that though, because she's got that little, finger prick energy sword thing. Who knows what else
That
she's
was the
got?
stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life. Okay, but anyways, we're gonna wrap this up. I'm back on
That was
board
pretty
with the
cool.
show. I'm back on board after episode 5. Um, I'm hopeful episode 6 comes out this Thursday. I'm incredibly excited to watch it. It's called Fumbling in the Dark, I believe. So could be pretty interesting. So
Wait, you think the what is that? What you said the episode is?
yes, it's called Fumbling
Uh,
in the Dark.
On Wikipedia, it says it's called Solace.
Um, really? Because on yeah,
They they have all the names here on Wikipedia. They have Solace, Inheritance, Allegiance, and Transcendence. Although those could be just production names.
yeah, they're probably production name. I'm looking at the episode guide via uh
All of them
Google.
have been one word. All of them. It was Contact, Unbound, Emergence,
Yeah.
Homecoming, Reckoning, Solace, Inheritance.
Okay, it is called Solace. So I don't know why on Google it's saying it's called Fumbling in the Dark.
Was it for something else? Maybe like the
No,
web
it's
series?
just in the episode guide,
Huh.
TV series
That's
episode.
weird.
So odd.
That's
Whatever. So
that's weird. Yeah.
Solace comes
Yeah.
out on Thursday.
Yes.
So we'll see how that is. You can expect episodes 6 and 7 to be packaged nice and neat into a hotfix, unless it's huge. If it's
Unless
huge,
yeah, unless it's huge, and then I'd say if they're smaller episodes or like they're, I think 6 and 7 is good. I'd say we probably do a separate episode for 8, and then
leading
obviously this
up
one
into
for
the
the
finale, yeah.
sure. Yeah, I'd say
So
that works best because yeah, we're gonna want to talk. I think about 9 because 9 episode 9 for this or like adding
that's
that in.
off.
We're
Yeah,
gonna talk about the whole thing, not
yeah.
just that episode.
Cool.
Also, along with that, just to wrap this up, Fumbling in the Dark is the second of 2 secret levels in Crash Bandicoot.
Nice. I love Crash Bandicoot. Where's my Crash series? A cool cartoon.
They gotta get Nolan North to do the voice.
I'd be down for that.
Um,
Anyways, so
yeah,
thank you guys again for sticking around for another hot fix. Evan and myself really enjoy doing hot fixes, so it's been kind of a bummer not doing them lately. But again,
yes,
slow month for games.
not a lot coming out right
We're,
now.
we're we're creating a lot of content for the Spawn Camp YouTube as well. Gameplay. I know Evan's got some awesome clips from Counter Strike games he's played, and just like a bunch of games that he's played with Brody. Fortnite. I know a lot of the guys are into that right now. Unfortunate Spacemen. So just stick around. We're all getting things nice and neat and packaged for you guys. We're really trying here. We're all new to
Yep.
this, but here we are. The show is proudly sponsored by Final Boss. Again, I am wearing a Final Boss Diablo 2 shirt right now, and that is fitting because, again, David Craddock is who we are speaking with this Friday's episode. He's a big Diablo guy. He wrote the book Stay a While, Listen. So you should probably check that book out as well. Final Boss has shit dropping this Friday. Their Manhunt drop and their Gabe Newell t-shirt.
I know you like both those.
I am very excited. Um, Doc Longy is the other sponsor for this podcast, and he's got a drop out right now for Big Pun. So if you're into hip hop, check that shit out. All hand drawn shit. Doc Longy's insane. The Final Boss crew is also insane. We are so fortunate to have the dopest sponsors out there. Be sure to check out everybody on the Spawn Camp YouTube and just in the network itself. For anime and gunplay, you got the Build Bros for in-depth gaming news. You got Diggity for just general banter. You got us, and OBO is to be determined. We are very stoked to re-release OBO. But until then, guys, take it easy, be safe. We'll see you guys on Friday.
Peace out, everybody.